Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. Happy Tuesday to you. We're taking a look, of course, here at Dogecoin, helping you understand the best practice and big picture for scenarios like this, when the price goes parabolic and decides it wants to retrace and spike up and down a little bit, right? So we're going to look at that and much more. I also want to kind of preface and let you know that, hey, I'm not a financial advisor, but I love teaching people to trade. I've been trading for over 17 years. And ultimately, my goal is to help make sure you don't get wrecked. So I hope that you can see something, some sort of benefit here from this. And obviously, if you want to become a better trader, I do have a trading university as well as a community. We all learn and grow together, and I send out signals as well. So if you take a look here, day before yesterday rather, we took 128% profit from BNB, and of course 93% profit from Solana, and that was over the weekend. Granted, those are leveraged positions, but even still, spot exchange almost 5% and 6.5% for BNB. So again, those are just an example of some of the signals that I send out. They do kind of look structured like this here, whereas we have targets and entry and profit targets, as well as a trailing stop loss. Just all the stuff you kind of need to kind of be fairly successful. So again, we've got that, and additionally, my community members are just killing it here. We can take a look. Leros, of course, taking 63% profit on a Bitcoin short, and then Sack, he's just killing it. Phenomenal trader. I love it. So, great traders here and a lot of cool stuff here you can kind of disseminate for your own. But the great thing is we're all learning and growing together, and it's just an awesome experience. So check that out in your own time. Oh, one very last thing, of course, is the King's Cup Global Initiative, or invitation rather. Basically, this is a fantastic global event here that is provided to people that use my registration link in the description below. You'll be eligible to join my team and essentially trade for the month of November and December. And registration ends on the 20th of November. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and post those. I went ahead and submitted the request for the team, forming the team now. As long as I get 10 or more traders, we're going to be able to hit the group stage and work our way up, see if we can do some stuff. So awesome stuff there. Check that out in your own time. Again, Bitget has a lot of different promotions, typically monthly. And I just love their exchange too. It's just a phenomenal exchange. Be sure to use that in your own time. Once again, make sure you use the link in the description below to ensure that you're eligible for those potential options later in the future. Every time there's a giveaway or every time there is a prize pool, you'd be eligible for that just by using my link. All right, so here's the thing with Dogecoin. Let's go ahead and just transition right in here and talk a little bit about this. So Dogecoin is interesting the way that it's working. Okay, it retraced as per usual, but it worked itself within a channel before it broke to the upside here. And we'll look at that at the smaller time frames here, but you can see pretty clear as day it's working itself within the Fibonacci retracement levels, and then broke up to try to retest that key level resistance. It broke ahead of it for a moment, but then it got rejected. So we'll talk about that here in just a moment. But starting with the daily, because again, any good analysis comes with looking at all different time frames. In fact, I got a question from one of my community members this morning. I was like, hey, what do I do to understand how to take a signal or to take a good trade? How do I find a good entry? Well, a lot of it comes from understanding different time frames and recognizing benefits throughout the whole thing. Because what we're looking at right now isn't just the daily and saying, oh, great, it looks green. Let's go for it. All right, we're looking at different time frames to identify, the statistical probability of it going in either direction. That's really all it is. And if you have more statistical probability going in one way than the other, then the likelihood of success is higher. Okay, but if you've got your blinders on, you're only looking at 10-minute, 15-minute charts or whatever it is that you're looking at, and not understanding the macro, you're doing yourself a disservice, right? So that being said, the macro is as follows. We look at this. First of all, we look at the moving averages first. We can see that the price action is well above that. That's kind of doesn't really matter at this point. Price is too high. It's going to take a little while for that to average itself out. But you will commonly see the 50-day set moving average work itself up with an ascending type of trend. So that should be our focal point moving forward when the price action comes to a head. Okay, it's going to be a little while before we get there. But granted, that's something we want to pay attention to, because the 50-day set moving average is really important on the daily. We also can see the RSI here is still trending very, very high, upwards of 93 yesterday and currently today at 90. Anything over 70 is considered to be overbought. And an overbought price essentially just allows for us to understand that the price action should pull back in the relative near future. Now, it did pull back a little bit, but wasn't a lot. All right. So that being said, it is still fairly overextended. We need to acknowledge that and understand that this is a lot of movement in a short amount of time. Okay. Again, regardless of all the fundamentals that could come into play, the price could definitely still shoot higher. From a technical standpoint, it's overextended. All right. Taking a look at the MACD, same exact story here as well. These oscillators are starting to dissipate. So as that starts to kind of come to a head and we start losing that momentum, there's a good chance we'll see a pullback there as well. All right, so generally speaking, we can extract that the daily is overextended and shouldn't be running much further from here. And what I mean by that, if we take a look at TD sequential here, we're already in overtime. In other words, we've had 9 straight days of bullish momentum to the upside, even though, yes, those are a couple of red days that I was able to identify recently. We're still looking pretty good in the overall sense of things, but we got to recognize too that it's overextended and there's no reason for it to continue. Okay, so again, this is kind of just one of those things you got to recognize. Furthermore, too, when the larger the candle wick to the upside, the stronger the pullback potential. Okay, so we do have potential there as well. All right, so that's kind of where we're at there in that sense. On the daily, I would say mostly adverse in the general sense of understanding the price action shouldn't go much further than where it's at. Again, if I mentioned this previously a couple of days ago when I last reviewed this, if we get consolidation at the price point of roughly 13 cents, enough consolidation for at least maybe just say a couple of days, perhaps even a week, then we can have a next leg up. We need time to get that reset and to get that that calming down period. I mean, try to think about like running a marathon and just going back to back on your marathons. You know, unless you are extremely well trained, it's not going to happen. Okay, and trading, cryptocurrency, whatever the case is, it's like that in that sense where it needs time to relax before it can leg up again if it's going to continue its bullish trend. If you leg up too fast too soon, you will see a parabolic decrease as well. We want to avoid that. So far, we're seeing a lot of volume at this price point, which is nice. And we can see with our volume profile, most amount of volume accumulation is right at this support and resistance level at 13 cents. So that's a really positive sign in the overall sense of things. But again, it's not positive in the understanding that it's just going to shoot straight up from here. The likelihood of that's fairly low unless we hear a tweet from Mr. Twitter himself, and we'll see what happens with that. That's a different story altogether. But from a technical standpoint, overextended at this point. Again, on the 4 hour, let's see if we still have that overextension here. We have another overextension once again. If you see here, we came up to a 9 previously. That's when I last reviewed it, expecting the price to decrease, and it did. Came down to consolidate at support there, right about 11.4, and didn't go any lower. So that's awesome. This Fibonacci retracement level here is essentially holding strong. And then, of course, you see the price action here for another 36 hours straight, comes all the way up to another 9. So once again, the likelihood of it going higher from here is fairly low because when you have 2 9s in a row, I teach this all the time with TD sequential, the likelihood of a pullback is extremely high. Okay, because again, you have 2 over-exhaustive periods in a row with minor consolidation and or retracement. That being said, we can expect the price to probably come down from here versus going up based on that sentiment alone. Okay, so we've acknowledged we're overextended on the daily, we're overextended on the 4 hour. Hypothetically, the 1 hour would also show something similar, but it would probably be to the downside considering we've got about 6 to 8 hours of downside here. So we'll look at that in a minute, but look at the 4 hour here, we can see RSI is starting to calm down. This is positive. We do not like to see RSI up over 70. It causes significant ruin, I guess you could say. In other words, the price usually will contract when you see that. And as we can see here, come up over 70 and got rejected, so to speak. Okay, so we want to see that. That's actually very healthy, and in the sense we see a MACD divergence in the 4 hours. So there's no reason for Dogecoin to want to continue to go up from here because it's more likely to go down. Again, we've lost this bullish momentum in the last 36 hours, and the price action is going to start trending downwards. So again, I think it's going to continue lower here at this point. It just seems, all the technical signs are screaming downside. We do have a potential saving grace here, the 20-day set moving average, which to me is just kind of a trend setter. It's kind of letting us know that we have a trend here and that there is potential for it to stay above. Is it going to stay above? Probably not. Based on everything we've seen here so far, overextension is a very real thing. We need to recognize that that is going to help us in the general sense of understanding it going down would make more sense. Going up from here would, again, unless there's a tweet sent out in the next couple of hours, the likelihood is very low that the price is going to go higher from here based on all the things we've seen here so far. Again, ascending trend aside, that's not really much to hold a price action in place. We've got everything else screaming a bearish divergence. All right, so taking a look at the 1 hour, let's go ahead and summarize here and call it a day. We can go ahead and see, of course, that TD sequential is telling us that we hit another 9 plus overtime to the upside. So it makes sense that we're down to a 6 here. So hypothetically, we've got another 4 hours of retracement before the price action may consider bouncing. But if it were to bounce, there's a strong chance it'll make a lower high and a lower low, and it'll continue lower. right? So just keep in mind, I don't feel great about this ascending trend. It's like the only saving grace here. That's not a reason to take a trade, right? You don't take trades on hopes and prayers, because that's basically what that is. Okay. Everything we've seen here so far, we've got 90% probability of further downside based on what we've seen here so far, with overextension on every single time frame. Let's take a look at the cloud as well. This is a slight help is also here. In other words, along with this ascending trend, we can see that the lagging span hasn't intersected with the price action yet. All right, conversion line is still above the baseline, showing there is still momentum to the upside, and we are above the cloud. So hypothetically, the cloud is telling us to keep our long position open, at least for perhaps the immediate foreseeable future. So just say the price goes sideways here, straight sideways, which is uncommon, but if it does, the lagging span will inevitably intersect the price action. It'll lose that momentum, conversion line below the baseline, and then of course, we'll see the price action probably decrease from here. Okay, so again, even if it were to go sideways, the likelihood of a lower price point seems much higher. Okay, so really, I see nothing minus being above the cloud, which is one thing. But again, if you look at all the overextension, there's no reason to want to take a trade based on this sentiment here. Okay, so I would say that, with this adding to the equation here, we're looking probably at like an 80% probability of further downside versus the price action going up moving forward. Now keep in mind, this doesn't mean that Dogecoin is just going to drop like a rock. So to all those fanatics out there that like to, just kind of blatantly protect and fight for a coin that they feel is something that speaks to them, that's perfectly fine. You can go ahead and do that. But this is a technical analysis. Try not to comment and say that why don't you look at the fundamentals? Because honestly, fundamentals, they matter, sure, but technical analysis matters more when it comes to retracing and or parabolic increases. There's a lot of things that we can extract from what we've seen here so far. And no matter how good or bad you feel about this coin, isn't going to change the fact that it's probably going to pull back. All right. Again, these are just my thoughts based on 17 years of trading. There's a reason why I have a trading academy, community, and signal group, is because I have a system that works really well. And to me, my system is avoiding coins like this. Honestly, that's a good foundation, first of all. But second of all, if you're going to be trading a coin like this, you better be ready for anything, because anything could very well happen. So if you're going to short, make sure you have some type of stop loss in place. And obviously, just consider being a safer trader. Those are all things I teach in my trading academy. All right, anyways, that's about all I got here for today. Sorry about the circles there at the end. I just care for my traders and anyone else. I want to make sure that we're all set there. So hopefully you learned something here today. I look forward to working with you in the next one. If you're not currently a community member, again, cryptocash.tech is a site. Be sure to use the link in the description for my Bitget link if you want to be part of those monthly prize pools and the King's Cup Global Invitation. Check that out in your own time. I look forward to working with you. Have a good rest of your day. Thanks again. We'll see you.